Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I am able to see.
Okay, wait a second.
If you think that, we it is too late for you.
No issues. Okay, so today we'll start with our day 2 lecture. Wait a
Okay.
second, I just accidentally closed the file. Yeah, so so today we'll be discussing about concepts of object-oriented programming.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so see, uh, close. See, concept of object-oriented programming. We'll be discussing static and non-static, be its
Okay.
variables or functions, and basic drivers of Selenium. Okay,
Okay.
and concept of constructors. Okay,
Okay.
so I'll just open Eclipse and we'll create a new project named as day 2. Okay, I'll finish it right now. Okay, so to start with, I'll just create a new class, say car. Okay, so in this car, say we need two variables, that is 90 price and string name. Okay, so in it there are two variables, price and name. Like we'll be saving the name of the car and price of the car. Okay, now we what we'll do is we'll create a new class as test car. Okay, and we need main function here, so we'll add it here. Now what we'll do is we'll create an object of car class here. Okay, so to do that what we'll do is car say c, okay, is equal to new car. So what I did here is I created a new object of car class. Okay, now what actually happened here is, see, wait a second. Okay, so like what actually happening here is, say this is a class car. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it has two variables, that is price and name. So right now this class is containing these two variables. Okay, now
Okay.
in the other class what you're trying to do is we'll access it from the other class with the help of objects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to do that what we'll do is just delete it. So right now what happened here is in this, like in this line, what we did, we created a new object. Okay, and then we named it as C1.
Mm.
Sorry, C.
Okay.
So yeah, so this one is pointing like C is pointing to this object. Okay, and in the same way we'll create other objects also. Right now we'll be using this one only. So like if we want to say something like C dot name. okay, equals say Toyota. Okay, and C dot price equals 100. So we can now like name and price have their own memory space. Like they're acquiring some memory in uh, so to access this now C dot name and C dot price. So in right now if we execute it, so my system is a bit slow right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So see. Uh, It shows Toyota and 100. So in the same way, if we create other objects, be it C and other, like let's rename it to C1. It will be easy to discuss. C1, C1, and C1 and C1. So here we created C1. Now we'll create C2 also. Okay. So now there are two objects, and like we'll
Mm-hmm.
store say C2 dot price equals say Ford. Okay, and C2, oh sorry, my mistake.
C1.
Yeah, C2 dot name.
Okay.
Yeah, and C2 dot price equals to say 200. Okay,
Okay.
so right now like we're accessing the same class, but so what is actually happening around here is if we access C2 object, C2 dot name, and in the same way C2 dot price. Okay, so when we execute it, it will show Ford. Okay, now there are two objects of the same class, of the car class. C1 is pointing to the first object and C2 is pointing to the another object. Okay, so
Yeah.
they both are they both have acquired some memory space. Say I'll just delete it and say this is C1
Mm-hmm.
and this is C2. So now C1 has its own object, C2 has its own object. Okay.
Yeah.
In the same way, we'll create third object also,
Mm-hmm.
C3, and in C3 we'll store say name equals to Tesla and C3 dot price equals to 300. Okay. So what we're doing here is
We
if
are
we
done with.
yes C3 dot name and C3 dot price. Okay, so now there are three objects. They have their own memory space now, and they're storing the variables.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so right now, like we are doing this. So if we like say if we want to share the object of C3 to C1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we can do here is like we'll just provide C1 equal to C3, and now if we try to access C1, Okay. Now it will reflect as Tesla. Like it, and now C1 and C3 both are sharing the same object.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
C1, C2, C3 are the pointers, and they're pointing to an object. The
Yeah.
object being allotted to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So uh, now we'll start with Selenium basics. Okay.
Okay.
So yesterday, the day before yesterday, we downloaded some jar files from Selenium. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
So we'll just add them here in our project. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right click, properties, Java build path, libraries, add external jars, and this is the folder where I've stored jar files. So I'll just open client command. This is the main jar file, and we need the other jar files also in the libs folder, so we'll add them also.
Okay.
Now, see, right now, like I'll create one more class, say Selenium. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in this class, say I need uh, Firefox driver. I want to use Firefox. Okay. I want to
Okay.
automate Firefox. So
Okay.
right now, if I right now it is showing me error. So let's complete it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So see, if I'm doing something like if you want to know some suggestions regarding it, it is
Mm-hmm.
not suggesting me anything right now.
Yeah.
So right now what I have to do is I'll just open Selenium website now. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
like why to refer Java docs every time if we know some part of command and we are sure that yeah and this is something. Okay. And like if we know the command but we don't know how to use it. So
Yeah.
like we usually refer Java doc. So like instead of opening the website again and again, what we can do is we can copy the link here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Omit the index.html part. Go to your project properties and see in the Java build path, go to libraries and in the main jar file of Selenium, client combine this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Expand it and see there's an option named Java doc location. Click on
Yeah.
edit it and provide the path. You copy it and click OK. Now, when we have provided the Java docs, now it will start suggesting that you can
Mm.
use it the way like this. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So now say now for using Firefox, we need the driver for Firefox also.
Yeah.
So
Jacob.
yeah, Jaco driver. So it is available here. We can download the latest version from here. And say I've already downloaded it. So I've stored it here in my system in this folder, web drivers. Okay, so Firefox driver. So we need the path of this now. Selenium won't automate open like you won't be able to access Firefox without this. So we'll just
Mm-hmm.
copy the path and say we need the system variable now. System, oh sorry, Sys, system dot set property and we need the property WebDriver
Mm-hmm.
dot Jaco dot driver. Okay, and here we need to
Okay.
provide the path of the driver. So
Okay.
like this is the path of the driver right now. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll be accessing it here. Okay, and the executable's name was jacodriver.exe.
Okay.
Okay, so in this way I'm providing the path of the Firefox driver so that we should access the Firefox. Okay. Now, like
Yeah.
so, it deleted my part of code. Okay. So when we execute this code, this will try to open Firefox. Uh, Now this red part, this is not some error. These are the logs from Firefox driver.
Mm-hmm.
So now wait a minute. So a new instance of Firefox has opened now, and see, we did not ask the driver to do anything right now, so it just opened the instance of a browser. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we'll just close it. In the same way, we will be using Chrome. So we can download Chrome driver from here. I've already downloaded it. Okay. So for Chrome, we'll be using almost same thing. So we'll just copy the code here, and so the first thing we need to do is Chrome driver cd equals new Chrome driver. Okay. So now I need to provide the system property. So right now we
Mm-hmm.
provided the property for Firefox driver. Now we'll be providing the like driver for Chrome
Chrome.
driver. Okay. So and say not Jaguar, it's Chrome. Okay. So when we run this code, now it will open a new instance of Chrome. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now what we can do here is just open. So like
Yeah,
now,
can I ask a question,
yes ma'am.
Abhishek here?
Yes ma'am.
We are opening for Firefox. We are using Firefox, right?
Yes
For
ma'am.
Chrome, we are using path to Fire Chrome.
Yes ma'am.
And supposing if I want to write a single line of code,
Yes
and
ma'am.
I want to execute either Chrome or Firefox or some other driver,
Yeah,
can
I'll
it
be
be possible?
discussing it later.
Okay.
It will be discussed in the next lecture. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now we'll be starting with basics. Okay. So
Okay.
it will be discussed later, like in the next
Okay.
lecture.
No problem.
Okay. So say in the same way, if we try to use like Internet Explorer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is the command for Internet Explorer, and see, almost everything is same. We're just like using the Internet Explorer driver instead of Firefox driver or Chrome driver. And
Mm-hmm.
in the same way, we are providing the system property. So we can
Oh.
find the Internet Explorer driver. See,
Mm-hmm.
now this is Internet Explorer driver is not shown here. It is in
Mm-hmm.
the above. Like, see, there is a driver for Internet Explorer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So uh, for Internet Explorer, the path was IE. I think so. It was IE. Yeah, Internet Explorer. Sorry. And so, okay, and they have the name of the executable as IE driver server.exe. Okay, so in the same way, if we try to
Mhm.
run this code now Fire Internet Explorer always causes some issues. So we'll just allow it. I don't know whether it would be working or not properly. Okay. So
Okay.
for using Internet Explorer, we need to do two
Mhm.
things. Okay. So
Okay.
the first thing we need to do is disable protected mode.
Okay.
Okay. And the second thing we need to do is set zoom level to 100%. Okay. If the zoom level of a page is different from that, the driver would not be able to communicate with the browser properly, and we cannot run our test cases properly.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Okay.
So we have other browsers also. For
Mhm.
example, uh, other drivers also. See Opera or Microsoft Edge driver. There are many browsers. Okay,
Yeah.
even in the Java docs, if we see, if we go to WebDriver,
Mhm.
say so WebDriver handler and WebDriver. Yeah. So right now, it's supposed like Chrome driver, Edge driver, event firing WebDriver. It is something related to firing events, and Firefox driver, Internet Explorer driver, Opera driver, remote WebDriver. WebDriver is related to Grid, okay, and Safari WebDriver.
Mhm.
So we don't prefer Opera and Safari right now because their drivers are not stable, and even sometimes the basic functions could not be even we could not do the basic operations. Okay,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
now coming back to this, right now what we did, we just initialize the driver. So what if I'll go back to Chrome again, it opened fast, why to waste time? Okay, so say cd.get and the string URL. Here we need to provide the complete URL. Okay, so we need to provide
Mhm.
the protocol, whether it's HTTP or HTTPS. Okay, so we need to provide the complete protocol so that we may access it easily. So say google.com.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
when I run the code, now it has directed the browser to open google.com. Okay,
Oh, okay.
yeah, in the same way, if I do something like, okay, and I execute fd.get, so in this case it will open Firefox and it will ask the Firefox to open google.com, and
Mhm.
see it has directed it, and now it is trying to open Google. Okay,
Okay. Mhm.
now these all are the logs from Marionette driver. Okay, so Firefox provides this much logs, and sometimes we start we panic that yeah, there is some exception occurred, but this is not exception. These are just logs. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, in the same way we'll be using Internet Explorer driver. We'll just use the command. We'll just change this part, and we'll be using ied.get. Okay, so it will open google.com in Internet Explorer. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
so now coming back to base car. So say we'll start with constructors. So say car has a constructor which welcomes us. Okay, so
Okay.
say. public car and it just prints welcome. Okay, so if we run this code, now there are three objects right now. Okay,
Mhm.
so it will welcome us every time the object is being created.
Okay.
Now it has nothing to do with the pointer. Say if we just write this line, still object is created, so it will write welcome. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, and say we created a pointer, but we don't want to assign an object to it right now. We can do that also. Car and say C equals null. Okay. So,
Mhm.
and in later time, if we want to assign it a object, C equals to this. Sorry, yeah, car C. Okay, why it is showing me the value of variable is not used. Okay, forget it. So, see, we assigned it object later. In the same way, if we don't want to assign it object right now, we we what we want to do is we just want to provide it the object of C1. C equals C1. So if we try to print something in now something from C, so it will print the values from C1 object. Now see what I did. And now why it is showing me Toyota, because this object had Toyota.
Mhm.
This object had Ford and
Okay.
this object had Tesla. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Mhm.
right now, C1 is having this object of Toyota in this place.
Yeah.
Okay, in this part of code, and we changed it later. So what happened is the object of C1 was C was using the same object. Now they were at this point, till this point C1 and C was were sharing the same object. Now we changed the object of C1 and we gave the object of C3 to C1. Now they both are sharing the same object. C is using the object that was being used by C1 earlier. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's why it is reflecting Toyota. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
if we make any changes to C1 here, C1 dot name, say uh, Subaru. Okay. So, and now if we try and say we change the price also, C1 dot price equals to 250. Okay.
Mhm.
So, if we try to access C3 now, we made changes in C1, but
Yeah.
it will reflect and changes those changes in C3 also. This is because the
Mhm.
C1 and C3 are both are sharing the same object. So C uh, now C3, they both are pointing to the same object. Okay, like this is the object being shared
Yeah.
by C1 and
Yeah.
C3. So if C3 makes any changes, C1 will also reflect those changes, and if C1 makes any changes, C3
Mhm.
will also reflect those changes. Okay,
Okay.
so now this was just normal thing. Now if we like right now all this in this class is non-static. Okay. So what if we want to use something static? So before explaining that, I'll just declare a new variable int wheels. Okay. So in this test
Mhm.
class, now we have a one more variable c1 dot wheels equals 4. Okay. And this part would be same everywhere. So I'll just copy it. c2 dot wheels 4, c3 dot wheels. Okay. So what actually happening around here is, and we'll just show the code also. So c1 dot wheels, c2 dot wheels, and c3 dot wheels. Okay, when we run the code, now see it is showing the number of wheels also. Now what actually happening around here is, now there is another variable wheels here in this object.
Mhm.
Okay, and it is acquiring some space in memory, but we don't want to
Yeah.
waste that memory space. Okay,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
every car has four wheels. Like 99.99% of cars in this world are having sorry, four wheels. Okay, there are rarely cars that those are having three wheels. Okay, so this is something
Yeah.
like that is static. This is not changing with like manufacturer to manufacturer, or like country to country. So in that case,
Okay.
if we declare it as static, okay. So right
Mhm.
now we have declared this as static. So now this will show error here. Like we can't access it. We now to access a static variable, we need to access it directly with the name of class. Okay, car.wheels. Now this is static, so we can access it directly. So like
Mhm.
say we have provided car.wheels here. So why not say it here? Like because every time the number of wheels should be same. Okay. So now to
Okay.
show it,
Mhm.
we'll just use car.wheels here. Okay. Now still it is showing us the same value, but now the space is not being wasted. See, right now the space was being wasted here. Okay, so I'll
Mhm.
just create. Now what is happening around here is like these are the objects, and this is just a class. So
Okay.
this directly blocks some memory. Now it is not being accessed with the object, so object is not allocating memory to it. It has already got its memory allocated, and it is not, so it is sharing its memory with everywhere. Like we if we create three objects, or say 100 objects, the memory it is using is like say it is using 2 bytes, so it will be using 2 bytes only. It will not be using 200
Okay.
bytes. Okay, so in case of
Okay.
larger programs, we may face some memory issues. So in this way, we try to avoid those issues. Okay,
Yeah.
so going back to our
Yeah.
code, say right now this was this. So say we want to have some functions. Say a function named public void and its name as refuel. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
we're just saying please refuel your car.
Okay.
It's just a message, to show that your car's fuel is low and you may need to refuel it. So, still, see, now we can, this is a non-static, okay? Again, it's non-static. So,
Mm-hmm.
if we want to access it, we can access it, say with c1 dot refuel here, okay?
Okay.
And c2 dot refuel. And in the same way, c3 dot refuel. So every time we are accessing it, please refuel your car.
Mm-hmm.
This one, and this one. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in this way, what again we are wasting memory because every car needs to be refueled.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So to do that, what we can do is if we consider it as static.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we move the code from here to here, and we mention here static. Okay.
Okay.
So when we access it, now see it's showing me error. So I'll just use car dot refuel. Okay.
Okay.
So when I run the code, now it is now see now on the like memory is not being wasted. And we can access it directly because this is something static and this is something usual that every car needs to be refilled, be it electric car that needs to be recharged, or be it like fossil fuel car that needs to be refueled. Okay,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
so they both need energy to run.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this way, why to waste like memory space for that? Because we can use it, we can reuse it. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
we're done with static. And say now like right now there is a default constructor, and say we declare a new constructor and we name it as car again, but we provide name, owner name. Okay, so
Okay.
in this we'll use say welcome. Okay, and we'll concatenate here. So owner name. Okay. Now this is the common method for every programming language to concatenate things in strings. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we can now run this code. So to run before running this code, say here we provide the name of the owner. Say
Mm-hmm.
anyone like say Raj. Okay. So when we'll execute the code, it will say welcome Raj. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
every time the object is being declared, say new car, and we want the name to be Bob. Okay, and in the other code, say Ria, and in the other code, say Penny. Okay, so when we execute the code, See, Bob, Priya, Penny, the objects are being created, whether they are being used later or not, but the objects are being created, and the default constructor with the the argument is being executed. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
so wait a minute. So we are done for today. Okay, and this is our syllabus. So we are done for today. Okay, do you have any queries?
Mm-hmm. Right now, no.
Okay, so tomorrow we'll be discussing interfaces, need of interface and concept of interface, use of interface in Selenium and WebDriver interface and drivers in Selenium. So, like you asked me a question, if we want to use single line and we want to change the browser. So we'll
Yes.
be with the help of interface, we'll be you know uh, like reducing the lines of code we use. Okay, with the help of interfaces,
Okay.
I'll show you tomorrow. So if we use
Okay.
interfaces, like almost all the drivers are executing almost everything same. The basic things are
Mm-hmm.
same. Like if a browser is opening a website, that the method is all different, but they are opening a website. So the things will
Okay.
be same, like the driver dot get. Okay, here in this, like this is the
Mm-hmm.
uh, see fd dot get. I used fd dot get or cd dot get or ied dot get. The method is same, but they are implementing it in a different way. So with the help of interface, we will be using changing the browser according to our need, and the commands will remain same.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll be discussing this tomorrow. And do you have any
Okay.
queries regarding today's lecture or yesterday's lecture?
Mhm. I will go through the uh, contents one more time. If I have any questions, I will ask you tomorrow.
Okay, so uh, so tomorrow we'll be discussing this, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask tomorrow. Okay?
Sure, sure. And one more thing is, we are joining around 8:30
Yeah.
tomorrow, right?
Yeah, if you want any changes, you can
Okay.
mail me. Like, if it's possible, I'll tell you. Okay? You have my
Yeah,
email
yeah.
ID.
For
Yeah.
only like tomorrow, no issues. I can join because
Okay.
8:30 I have a call from India, like an offshore call.
Okay.
That is the only cash.
Okay.
But tomorrow anyway they won't be there. So today is Friday for India, right?
Yeah.
Already started. So
Yeah.
I will be able to join from Monday onwards. I will change the time and we can
Okay. No
connect
issues.
at 8:30.
No
Yeah.
issues. Okay. Take care.
Okay. Sorry for today's call, joining the class late.
No issues. No
From
issues.
From tomorrow onwards, I will take care of it.
No issues. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek.
You're welcome.